Hi, let's talk about storage. Now, storage is the place where we store our music, our files, our MP3s, our videos, and stuff like that, you know. And one thing you gotta, if you've been anything like me, you've got to understand that when you save a lot of stuff on here, there can always be that one time where a drive will crash or disappear, and there's never a warning. There's never an opportunity to say, oh, let me get everything off of here to save it before the drive goes out. So what we're going to talk about is different cases of storage and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you know, when you have these hooked up to your computer, you're going to get the fastest data output out of that. But we're going to talk about some different methods of storage. You know, like for instance, like, oh man, when you get Pro Tools, you gotta have an external hard drive when you run a Pro Tools. Remember the whole Pro Tools things, you know. And it's cool, you know. But the problem is that, well, let's for example, let's look at this hard drive case right here. This is an Akatillo USB 3.0 Super Speed 2.5-inch hard drive enclosure. As you can see, there's a USB 3.0 on the back, and it houses one 2.5-inch laptop drive. And that's pretty cool, you know. I mean, you can take this with you and take it wherever you want to go. But once again, you run into the problem of, okay, if this thing gets bumped on the airport the wrong way, or if there's something that may go wrong in this case, all the data on here is gone. Now, it's risky, but it's not like that possible. It's not, you never know when it's going to happen, but this is a great solution when you got to carry a lot of stuff that you want to go. But in my opinion, if you're going to use something like this, make sure you use it quickly and always try to back up when you get back to the home base or the studio and stuff like that. So this is a good way to store your music and stuff like that when you don't want to go inside the computer and hook stuff up. Or great for a Mac Mini who doesn't have a chassis for you to throw SATA drives in, like myself. Alright, let's go to another case. Now this is more like it. This is the Akatillo hard drive enclosure with two 2.5-inch drive bays in the back. Nice screws that you can turn with your fingers to screw in and out. It speaks FireWire 800 and USB 2.0 and eSATA. It's a very well built case. It takes a power supply, and obviously, you know, it's kind of packed with some screws in there. And in this case, we have little kind of trays that can hold a 2/4 or a 2.5-inch disc. For example, let's see what happens when I try to slide one of these in here. As I open up this case, which is taped very well, and as you can see, you can put in a 2.5 or 2, slide these in there like that. Oh, there's 3 in here, I didn't notice that. And you can sort of just slide these in, and they'll slide into place, you know, and obviously the trays will guide them into the proper position. But you slide 2 of these bad boys in there. And the cool thing about this is that you go into something called RAID. Now, that's one of the reasons why this has 2 drives in here. The reason it has 2 drives in here is so that you can either RAID them in configuration 0 or RAID 1. Now, RAID 1 basically means that both of these drives will mirror each other. So you'll basically have 2 drives with all the same data on here. Now, your reads and write speed, basically how fast you can get your sounds and samples to the drive and back from the drive, will remain the same. But what you do get is a level of redundancy, so that if any one of these drives fails while you're on the go and while you're working, you can just remove the faulty drive, put in another one, and rebuild the mirror on here. Now that's RAID 1. Now this is where things get interesting, because you can also do a RAID 0. Now how does RAID 0 work? Well, basically the data is split between 2 drives. So if you have a WAV file of your beat or a video file from a music video, it's split between 2 drives. Now what happens is that these are 2 drives that are going to send out data at the same time, so they'll work together to get the data to and from your computer much faster than it would with 1 drive. So that's what a RAID 0 configuration is. It's more riskier because obviously if you have 1 drive that goes out on that, you lose the data. But if you have 2 drives working together as a RAID 1, then your data is preserved and you can keep working. So this is a good idea. So if you want to edit video and get video in and out of your computer, or audio in and out of your computer quickly, with intent to back up somewhere else, then maybe a RAID 0 configuration in this case is good for you as well. So that's for the 2.5-inch drive. But we can go even further. let's go further. This is an Ocotillo 2.5-inch disc drive bay. And it also features some functions back here where you can configure it for a RAID 0 or RAID 1 configuration, which follows the same principles as I did for the 2.5-inch bay. So obviously you can open this up in the front. Obviously this comes open right here. And then what we can do, as I try not to make a mess, is slide these drives right in there just like that. Boom, right? Do another one. Boom. All right, and this also speaks USB 2.0, actually USB 3.0. And obviously with a push of a button, you can set this up to clear everything off of the drives. Now watch out for that. Clear everything off of the drive, rate it in a 0 configuration or rate it in a 1 configuration. So if you got some big space, and you need some big space for some big HD 1080p videos at 60 frames per second, this is the way to go. And you know, it'll be a really great configuration right there. So keep that in mind. So this is good. But we're gonna go further. Let's go further. This is another hard drive bay, all right? This one contains 4. It speaks eSATA and USB 3 Pro box. And this isn't a RAID system. This is just, I was kind of disappointed that it didn't have a RAID configuration, but they do have one that does it, but this one isn't it. And I thought I could do a RAID for Windows. This was back when I was first trying to learn about RAID. So obviously you can fit 4 drives in here. So, you know, and it has a nice fan in the back to keep the drives cool, so you just put the drives in there like that. Well, actually there's a tray system. I'm kind of being extra, not doing it the proper way. But you can fit 4 drives into there, and you'll have 4 separate drives. Now, if you use something like FreeNAS, something like that, you can probably run a RAID out of this, but this doesn't run RAIDs natively out of itself. But I think they have another box that lets you do so. There's a sensor in here to detect temperature, so it can keep the fans hot and cool and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. So this is another way to store your data, protect your music, guys. And now let's go to the big boy. This is what we call a server, or a FreeNAS server. And in this server you have different capabilities of the ways you can store your data. Now what this does is that it has multiple arrays of drives right here, as you can see, and I'm trying to adjust my focus so you guys can see this, but there's 4 drives right up in here, 4 1 terabyte drives right here, and I have this configured in a RAID 10. Basically it's 2 mirrors, or it's basically a combination of what we talked about before between RAID 1 and RAID 0. And then over here I have 3 more drives right here in a RAID Z configuration that gives me up to about 4 gigabytes of space. And then there's some hot strap drive bays right there. There's a little SanDisk 32 gigabyte case in there to run the operating system that runs the server. And then there's a bulldozer piece right there, and I like the effect of the fan spinning on here. It's kind of hypnotic right there. Let's get a look at that. Kind of hypnotic a little bit. But that's a cool thing about, I guess, running at 60 frames, you see that effect. But this runs a software called FreeNAS. It's a free software, and this gets data back into the computer from the server. And so in essence, when you have a server in your house, you don't need any external drive bays, because you can do everything through your network, because the data transfer speeds are fast enough to keep up with Studio One or Machine or any video editing software. It's pretty cool. So that's basically it. There you have it. Those are some of the ways you can store your music, your beats, your sample library, your contact library, all that stuff. These are solutions to help you, and there's not a one-size-fits-all scenario for all this storage stuff. But one thing I guess I could say or recommend, I guess one thing that I can say or recommend is that you do your best to protect your data, no matter how insignificant it may seem to someone else. Protect your data, learn about RAIDs, and set one up for your studio, and you'll be glad you did. All right. In the next video, we're going to do like a speed shootout of data to see what goes in and out faster from the computer to your hard drive. So we'll check that out. All right, this is T2K. Make sure you subscribe. More tracks, more beats, more songs, more performances. And check out my album. on SoundCloud. Actually, Bandcamp. I made that same mistake twice. I'm out. Peace.